would like to start by saying I don't know when we've ever, in a workshop, brought in a private citizen's name from the dais. That even though you say you don't play politics, you dropped the name of General Michael Flynn from the dais during the workshop today. I feel the need to inform you that it's citizens like Flynn that reside in our area that just may be what attracts the right candidate to our area. In the same breath, I wonder what consequences things like forced mask mandates, looking for ways to break the law, and forming coalitions to work from the inside to promote your woke ideologies might have on our superintendent search, especially now that one of our board members is not as under the radar as he thought, since it appears our governor has you directly on his radar. For character not so strong, I wonder what would demonstrate character in our classrooms, maybe spending the first 10 to 15 minutes of our day embracing parents in our classroom with warmth and respect. Instead, Mr. Dubin and others are pretending that it's a drain and a disruption that is unwelcome and burdensome. Character could also be demonstrated by giving, families a helping hand by allowing them to record IEPs. I've also heard both the New and Old Testament have plenty of demonstrations of character, but my guess is that does not qualify under this inclusion umbrella that we pretend we operate under. While we pretend to wear a hat of inclusiveness, let's also expose that DEI was only really meant to include an echo chamber of ideologies, as it does not include vaccination status, masking, or those strong beliefs founded in faith. I know you think that softening our parents walking their kids to schools will soften our schools, but I have to say the biggest threat to this school district, Mr. Edwards, is you. You have openly and adamantly pledged that you'll work undetected from inside to push a woke ideology. And in case you're not sure what that is, it's indoctrination instead of education, pushing sex and gender ideology in a setting reserved for minors, and a push to create social justice warriors while our reading and math scores tank. You post numerous pictures of you in the classroom. You said on Facebook that causes you joy. These mom and dads just want to be a part of that joy. Stop robbing them of that. You're allowed in the classroom. Stop posting those pictures while backhanding the parents who wish to share in that same joy. You even led a school board candidate, Danielle Singleton, into our schools in the months leading up to the school board elections in a political move that should highlight you are the politics, sir, residing on the dais. Apparently now you are on the radar of our governor, so brush up your resume, sir. MichellePozzie, District 3, that was probably the most unprofessional I've ever seen you, but that's okay. Where is the heterosexual club? Because if somebody put a flyer about heterosexual club, you know what I would do? I would say that's disgusting. These are minors. They don't deserve to be sexualized. So it's not an LGBTQ thing. It's a sexualization of minors thing. That should make everybody's skin crawl. The flyers were ridiculous because they have nothing to do with education. Jane, you mentioned the Holocaust and not letting history repeat itself as if we're going to extinguish a whole part of our community. It wasn't that long ago that you claimed and showed with your actions that the unvaxxed and the unmasked were expendable to you. So climb off of your soapbox. Mr. Edwards, resign immediately. I believe you have violated Florida law, which requires the district and schools to establish and implement various protocols consistent with the Bill of Rights.
Consider that a warning, Ms.
I believe
Pozzie.
Mr. Edwards is in breach of his fiduciary responsibilities as a board member when he cost this district an additional $136,000 for his illegal mask mandate. I also believe he's in violation of Article 2, Section 8G in the Florida Constitution that states there is a code of law, a code of ethics for all state employees and non-judicial officers prohibiting conflict between public duty and private interest. No, he encourages people to break House Bill 1557. He goes behind the governor's back to fly under the radar to work within a school system undetected for his own pleasure and for his own sick agenda. Resign immediately, Mr. Edwards.
I have a question. Mr. Edwards, is your job too difficult for you? Because you seem to say that quite frequently. Moving something to new business is burdensome to you. I was at a meeting where Mr. McKinley said, that's actually your job. It should not be considered burdensome. That is your due diligence. You made us break up public comment time between comments, basic comments, and agenda because it was too much for it to be mixed for you. I don't understand. These tasks are your job. If you're incapable of doing them, that's another conversation the community needs to have. But I'm tired of you asking the community to jump through hoops for you and then having us asking us to completely respect you, and at the same time, you completely disrespect another board member on the dais. You disrespect our governor's bill because you can't call it by name. If I call you out of name, I'm removed out of here. You throw propaganda out there on a bill that you're supposed to help implement on this dais. How am I supposed to have faith in you when you can't even call it HB 1557? You'd rather divide the community. You'd rather have propaganda present. You'd rather throw digs. And nobody up here, I know you're a Christian, nobody up here wants to try to give you the benefit of the doubt more, but it is getting really difficult. So I ask you, if this is too hard for you, don't make us change. You change.
Our wonderful district, yes, made national news again as our District 3 representative just couldn't help resist airing out at a local event his violation of his campaign promise to have no hidden agenda. Just Google it. Tom Edwards, woke. He is such a flagrant violation of his dereliction of duties. I feel that there's a few things that should be addressed. Number one, your job is to create policy. If you have an issue with legislation, you're sitting in the wrong seat. Go run for an office that creates legislation. That's not what you're to do here, and now I have no faith in you to be able to implement that policy. Number two, thank you for acknowledging you're woke, but could you please explain to everybody, we're dying to know, what does woke mean? What does that mean to you? Who are these people on the inside that are working behind the scene? That terrifies me. Do they include school board candidates that you've endorsed? Who are these coalitions that are coming to help, like the cavalry? And why are they not put in the sunshine? How does any of this help education? You know, you said you could fit in a thimble what you knew about education. I might add, I think you aimed a little too big, because education is built on the backbone of trust between classrooms and families, and you've never earned that. Your attitude and actions speak of corruption, collusion, and completely beyond reproach. Step down.
Let's be clear, everybody, on who voted to think that that's warranted, because I think it's worth the community knowing who agrees to this additional amount and exactly why our vote matters on August 23rd this year. You see, it took 6 months for the majority of this board and their council to realize, wait for it, breaking the law means higher attorney fees. Most of this board sat idly while council interjected in my records request, creating more billable hours in a field where he's not needed. Council that made repeated requests to me, a citizen, to call him, and gave me pushback when I demanded things in writing and my right to speak from this podium. He created the need for more billable hours and thinks a handout is in order. Sarasota, you paid for a majority of this board who voted to mask your kids. You are paying for an attorney who allowed them to break the law and now holds out his hand for more money. You, Sarasota, are paying for bloviated attorney fees, all while he states publicly that we are his least favorite client. Can you and I do that in our private sector business? Can we tell our clients we dislike them and also demand more money? Take a close look at the world that this council and the majority of the board live in, because it doesn't represent mine. We have to vote for common sense this August, because this is what happens when good people do nothing. Sarasota, watch who on the board voted for this, Jane, Shirley, and Tom, and who they endorsed for school board on August 23rd. We do not need recklessness in leadership 2.0. Thank you.
We don't want to talk about sex, sexuality, or gender identity to children in elementary school. What don't you get about that? Does that not make anybody else's skin crawl? 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. When I was growing up, that was called redirecting. Little Johnny, please remove your hands from wherever they're at, go wash them, and we're going to do this other activity. Now, all of a sudden, everybody is borderline grooming, trying to talk about inappropriate activities, inappropriate things at a time when they can't handle it. Let me explain something. If you want to stop depression, anxiety, suicide rates in our young people, then maybe stop crushing them with the pressure of things that they are not equipped to handle. The human brain is not even fully developed for critical thinking until age 25. 25. You don't give the keys to your Lexus to a 4-year-old. Why? Because they're not ready for it. This is not something new, people. Don't turn this into a political debate. You don't have a voting age of 18 and a drinking age of 21 if you don't fundamentally understand that some people are not ready to have to deal with these topics. Do not talk to people under the age of 18, in my opinion, about sex, sexual identity, and gender without the permission and the express consent of their parent or guardian. The only civil discourse presented within these chambers has been from the dais. Jane says the word "I" almost as much as she says the word referendum. You think you operate an authority that gives you the ability to choose camera angles in a room funded by us, from a seat funded by us, speaking through a microphone paid for by us, discussing cameras that we likely bought. Maybe it's a waste of time to discuss camera angles, but the majority of this dais are experts at wasting time and money. Public comment times have taken up more agenda time than any singular academic piece in the last 6 months. We spent months looking for ways to break the law, only to tuck your tail and realize that the peanut gallery ain't buying the rhetoric and corruption any longer. Taking our fight to the state level is nothing new. When you break the law and try to silence constituents, we will no doubt engage legislatures to get involved. One might think, with all your lobbying background, Mr. Edwards, you would not be so appalled at how the system works. Or are you just appalled that it worked? Again, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. It's only just begun. And in the words of Sarah Palin, you know the difference between a pit bull and a mom? Lipstick.